pain with sex is not normal during or after, peeing more than 10 times a day. I don't care how much water you drink. I know how much a normal bladder holds, and there's no such thing as a small one either.
So many women in midlife are struggling with pelvic floor issues, with leaks, with back pain.
It's the leaking pee for any reason, whether that's laughing, coughing, sneezing, jumping, or the gotta go now leaks. Women have deeply normalized waking up at night to pee because they've so deeply accepted that that's the way it is. In fact, we brought this to urologists' offices, and we brought this to an online support group for women dealing with prolapse, and we were rejected outright with our research in hand.
Seriously?
Yeah, they weren't interested. They didn't want any part of it. So we're like, we have to do this ourselves.
I am so excited to be here with you today and with an amazing guest, a physical therapist, Christina Walsh. Christina, welcome to the show.
All of that's under the pressure, the heaviness, that sensation. Sometimes for women that feels like there's like a bulge or like a tampon stuck in there the wrong way, but there's nothing in there. Swelling down there, pain of any kind, back and hip tightness and discomfort and pressure is connected to one central root cause of core and pelvic floor dysfunction. And none of it's normal, and none of it you have to live with forever.
From your perspective, what pelvic floor symptoms are women normalizing that they absolutely should not?
I must say right away,
Hey there, sisters. Welcome back to the Period Whisperer podcast. I am so excited to be here with you today and with an amazing guest. Now, a few months ago, I had an awesome guest on, Jen Larmon, who was from Tighten Your Tinkler, and it was one of the most popular episodes that we had done. Why? Because so many women in midlife, I think, are struggling with pelvic floor issues, with leaks, with back pain, with things that they don't even know have to do with tightening their tinkler. So I have become a huge fan of Tighten Your Tinkler, of Jen, of our amazing guest today, physical therapist, Christina Walsh. Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Bria. It's an incredible honor to be here. We are fans of your show personally, and just so grateful that you're willing to help us spread the word about this topic that is not talked about enough, but that is relevant to millions of women in this country alone.
Yes, I totally agree. And we were talking before we got on about how we all need a team, because I've really appreciated your work. Like, I've had pelvic floor issues. I remember thinking it was really normal that doing jumping jacks made me pee my pants after having 2 children. So I really appreciate what you do. I refer my clients to you guys all the time. And I love that you normalize this stuff and then also tell us what is not normal, which is kind of what we're talking about today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that is one of our favorite things to talk about, not only just like what's normal and what's not, but then like what you can start doing about it. Because there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that's accessible to everyone, ways you can start to feel better, and myth busting. We're all here for all of it.
I love that, because sometimes that's all we have the capacity for is low-hanging fruit until we have the space to do more. And so if we can have some quick wins and just create some relief, there's nothing better than that, for sure.
And it keeps us invigorated with hope that more is possible.
Yes, right? Hope. We need the hope. That's very motivating, isn't it? So tell us a little bit, because you have such a powerful story. Tell us a little bit about you, about your pelvic floor dysfunction in your past, about really how you came to co-found Tighten Your Tinkler with Jen and help women in this area.
Tighten Your Tinkler was born kind of as an accident. So many good things are where you get the gift of the opportunity to make your message. And that is Jen and I's story. Like, I was just a regular PT. I got out of school and I was like, oh, I'm going to do outpatient therapy. And I did some home health, and I worked in the hospital. I kind of wanted to see it all and do it all. And I guess I just trusted that I would find my calling in my right place. And I had an orthopedic injury myself while a PT already, like a neck injury, whiplash. And I was like, oh crap, I know what happens if you don't get this healed right. Like, I see it in my clinic all the time. Like, I don't want to be on the surgeon's table at 45 with this neck injury. And so I was like, I need to get it better. I went to traditional PT. It helped a bit, but it wasn't better enough to where I felt safe moving on. And so I found an alternative approach called craniosacral therapy. Body work, which I love and still receive regularly. And I kind of dropped everything and went to go study that. Life brought me to connect with Miss Jen Larmon. And our story was her ending up on my treatment table after having her second kid and a couple traumatic births, trying to heal all kind of issues she was dealing with, which she explicates in that other episode. And then we aligned because she was like, oh, I train moms in my personal training gym. You need to come treat all of them. I was like, oh, okay. Like, here's my next step. But then I had my first baby, like working under the same roof as separate businesses with her, taking
Yeah.
care of women together. And she had these traumatic births. And I had what I thought was this great advantage. And it was of perspective before I had this baby of like, I don't want that to be my story. So I'm going
Yeah.
to have a midwife and a doula and no medical intervention. But we don't get to control everything in birth. And I had a sunny side up delivery, which is that OP, they call it, presentation of the baby where it's like heads facing
The
the
wrong
quote
way.
unquote wrong way.
Yeah.
I pushed for 2.5 hours. I did not, I had the midwife, I had the doula, thank God. In some ways, I had a storybook birth, but because of those variables that no one could control, I ended up with issues after that first birth also. And the blessing was not only, I'm sure it could have been a lot worse, right? If I hadn't
Mhm.
had the gift of all these other stories to like inform my birth choices, but also I was already working with Jen and she was healing from traumatic births. And we were like, we've got to find a better way to do this. As she told in her story, she'd been to the urogynecologist's office and been like, help me out. I'm struggling with all this. I've done everything I know how to do. And he was like testing her pelvic floor strength, going, okay, well, you've got a strong Kegel. You're not a candidate for pelvic floor therapy. You're just going to have surgery. And she was 36 and she was like, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. And he was like, well, I hate to do it on women this young because it's just going to have to be redone in 10 years.
My
And so we
gosh.
just got so convicted because not only she did the Kegels, she tried that. It's, intuitively, it was the thing, this crazy gift of being a PT and an exercise physiologist as a team already,
Yeah.
both dealing with these issues, going, this solution that we're pitched doesn't make over time. So we had that gift of our professional backgrounds and then this lived experience of her issues, yes, being more severe, but mine still being enough to bug me and being like,
Yeah.
I don't want this to be forever for me. And I don't think it has to be. And so we kind of went on a warpath together. We got very convicted and very united and stumbled upon a new approach, a much more functional approach to re-strengthen the entire undercarriage, as we like to call it, the core and
I
pelvic
love it.
floor functionally. Nothing stuck up in there and you hoo-ha, no awkward squeezing. Okay. And so we were like elated when we found this. It was for ourselves first.
Yeah.
So we like to
Yeah.
fix our own issues. And much like you, we test everything extensively on ourselves before we dare bring it to anyone else. So
I
we found,
gotta.
well, of
I
course,
gotta test it. I gotta
well,
know.
it's our curious minds, but
Yeah.
also it's like an ethical compulsion of like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to bring anything to anyone else before I can speak personally to its power and and what it's capable of. And that actually led us to do a really crazy thing of a 3-year university research study. After we had anecdotal, like testimonial evidence from our in-person clients, we were like, okay, testimonials aren't going to get this out there to the number of women who need it. And we did 3 years of research on this protocol we
Oh my
found.
gosh.
I mean, we really didn't know what we were stepping in when we we signed up for that. Wouldn't take it back for the world because, it was our research participants who came back and were
Yeah.
like, you've got to get this online for the world. Like, you can't wait for modern medicine to pick this up. Like, and they
Yeah.
might not pick it up and they haven't picked it up. In fact, we brought this to urologists' offices and we brought this to an online support group for women dealing with prolapse. And we were rejected outright with our research in hand because
Seriously.
yeah, they weren't interested. It didn't work within the system that they knew and that they'd established. They didn't want any part of it. So we're like, we have to do this ourselves. Like the women who came back to us, like, please do something to get this out there. And that is how Tighten Your Tinkler was born. And one of our clients named it, We Are Not That Cute and Clever.
I love people who are cute and clever, who just come up with these like witty things and you think, thank goodness for you, because I would never have landed on that. And that's amazing.
There's Tighten Your Tinkler has been in existence for 6 years now, and we just continue to try to shout from the rooftops whenever possible. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to live with this stuff, and it's easier than you think to get
Yeah.
better.
To get better. Thank goodness you guys did that. That's amazing. I want to recap a few things that I know I covered with your co-founder, Jen. And just for everyone listening, it was episode 350. So if you haven't listened to it, I recommend going back and listening to that one after this one, because so many women, I was one of them, think that leaking, heaviness, prolapse, pain are just part of aging or childbirth. And I want to say aging because I have many clients who have these issues who did not have children. So I think that's a really important thing to understand. You don't have to have given birth vaginally or in any way in order to have these issues. They occur no matter what sometimes. But from your perspective, what pelvic floor symptoms are women normalizing that they absolutely should not?
You were spot on with the list you started already.
Okay.
It's the leaking pee for any
Yeah.
reason, whether that's laughing, coughing, sneezing, jumping, or the gotta
Yeah.
go now leaks. Women have deeply normalized waking up at night to pee. That's one that
Mm.
like women start working with us and no one, I don't think at all, has ever joined us to solve that because they've so deeply accepted that that's the way it is. And it's
Yeah.
often one of the first things that gets better. And they come back like, arms waving in the air, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was going to get better too.
Yeah.
Pain with sex is not normal during or after. Peeing more than 10 times a day
Hmm.
is outside. I don't care how much water you drink. I know how much a normal bladder holds, and there's no such thing as a small one either.
Oh, I
So that
love
is
that you said that because lots of people say that to me.
My
Yeah.
mother used to say that, and if only I'd known this then to take care of her, I would have. But
Yeah.
we're coming full circle. We used to tease her for being the one with the small bladder on the family road trips, right? Like
Oh, yeah.
she's always the one who had to make us stop, but that's not a thing. She could have used this then if I'd only had it when I was a small child. But all of that's under the pressure, the heaviness, that
Hmm.
sensation. Sometimes for women, that feels like there's like a bulge or like a tampon stuck in there the wrong way, but there's
Mm.
nothing in there. That can be how it feels. Swelling down there, pain of any kind, back and hip tightness and discomfort and pressure. Sometimes it feels like compression.
Yeah.
None of that, all of that is connected to one central root cause of core and pelvic floor dysfunction.
Yeah.
And none of it's normal and none of it you have to live with forever, whenever you draw the line that you are ready to move on from it.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you said the 10 P's a day because I recall after the episode went live with Jen, I had a lot of people reach out and be like, I counted and I am peeing more than 10 times a day. It's a good measuring tool, for us to have a rough idea or a boundary of what's normal, what's not normal, because sometimes we don't even pay attention. We just haul ass to the bathroom 100 times a day and not think about it.
Well, and so many of us, like we, as the caregivers of our families, and, a lot of us are professional caregivers or some kind or another as women, we often don't have the time or the brain space to stop and even, and sometimes these issues creep up slowly over time. It's much more common that they get
Yeah.
worse over time than that they have a sudden, like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? And
Yeah.
so we kind of slowly accommodate a little bit here, a little bit there. What you can just give yourself permission. Have you ever asked yourself the question, what would it be like for me, or what would change for the better if this issue was gone from my life? If
Yeah.
I never had to worry about this again, what would that feel like for me? How would it free you up?
Oh
How
my
would it
gosh.
spare your energy? Then you free your mind to start to wonder, wait, to even accept the idea that maybe it's possible that you don't have to live with this anymore. Let yourself wonder what it might feel like. What would it feel like for you?
Christina, that's an amazing way to put it because for women who are waking up in the night, like that one night waking to pee or two or three or four, which I do hear from some women, is so disruptive to your sleep and so disruptive to your fat burning, your muscle building, your energy the next day, your hormone production, because that's when they happen. All of that's so massive. So think about what you could do with that extra energy. Or, yeah, if you weren't worried about having to run to the bathroom or having a bathroom close, I think is so huge.
One of our biggest clients we have so many clients who have shared their amazing stories with us, but one I remember right now was a woman, her red line in the sand was, it's affecting my work now. For her, it wasn't the sleep. It's now I'm having to keep underwear in my desk drawer. And what if someone opens that and finds that there? I could be mortified, and I'm having to run out of meetings with important clients. And she
Yeah.
messages us later, okay, now I'm on a Zoom call, literally doing my functional pelvic floor exercises and taking care of myself, and it fits into my day, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. So yeah, how would it free you up to not have to worry about that ever again?
And that's your line. That's your line in the sand, you're saying. And
Yes.
whether you have had pelvic floor issues for a long time from childbirth, anything else, maybe athletics, maybe an injury, maybe something or not, what do we know about the shifting of our hormones that impacts this? Because that's what
Yes.
everyone's listening here.
Well, I love the way you're connecting the dots, as you always do so wisely in all of your episodes.
You should come back to the show every time. You make me feel so good.
You just hit the nail on the head, girl. You're right. You're like one step ahead of it. Is so much more than it's our body's whole story.
Yeah.
Over a lifespan that puts us wherever we are right now. So
Yeah.
if you've had a history of chronic constipation
I
or
was gonna say
chronic
that.
coughing from asthma, if you've had a high stress lifestyle for even just for a period of years, and your body learned that you weren't safe just being, and you felt pressure all the time, if you played certain sports that had a lot of high impact for many, many years, all of these things, not just childbirth, like you said, connective tissue disorders. We have a lot of women we work with who have hypermobility, loosey-goosey joints. And hello, if that's you, you're more at risk for pelvic floor issues because that's connective tissue down there holding everything in. So first of all, kudos for connecting those dots for women. You're right about all of it. I hope you, if you're listening to this, feel validation, feel like, oh, wait, okay, now I understand why I've found myself here. You didn't do anything wrong. First of all,
Yeah.
number one, you didn't do anything wrong. Number two, your body is telling you your whole life story right now. Nothing
Mm.
happens in isolation. So you already hit the nail on the head about that, Bria.
Yeah.
And the
The
other thing, okay, so the
message.
hormones. So why does this happen right now for so many women? When Jen and I started, we were unsatisfied with where our bodies were from a how they were functioning standpoint after our babies were born. And so we thought when we started working with women to help solve these issues, that would be the woman we'd be working with pretty soon postnatal, because that was our story.
Yeah.
But we've
30 to
learned over
35.
We've
Yeah.
learned over 6 years of doing this, especially in the digital space, serving women all over the world, that we have actually a much larger percentage of women finding us and receiving help after the age of 40 when their
Mm.
kids are older. And that is why. So the hormones start to shift, that loss of estrogen happens. And with that, the decline in collagen. And so the tissue holding everything in from below is connective tissue. It's
Yeah.
soft tissue. So as that collagen starts to go, it's not just the wrinkles and the saggy knees when we're in downward dog that we don't like to look at.
Damn those knees.
Damn the knees. It's not just our jawline that starts to.
The jowls.
It's also the pelvic floor
Floor,
that's
right.
impacted, right? And our
Yeah.
tissue gets thinner and it's less capable of holding moisture, which keeps everything plump and toned.
Yeah.
Okay, so those changes often, so for many women, maybe after the kids were born, it was like a whisper, like,
Yeah.
women come to us with all the time under our YouTube teaching and comments in our inbox as well. This was happening for a long time, but it wasn't that bad, is what we hear
Yeah.
all the time. It wasn't that bad. So what if you can't jump on a trampoline with your kids? Maybe that's something you can live without, not
Yeah.
really bothering your life. But then the next story comes in the comment, in the inbox. But then it started impacting my marriage. Now it's a
Mm.
problem. But
Yeah.
then I was walking on the beach with my daughter, and you can't wear a liner, a pad, and I
Yeah.
sneezed and pee ran down my leg. Now I can't live like that anymore. Or I'm having to keep underwear in my desk drawer. There's a threshold that women get to, and it often happens at this point in life because of the hormone changes.
Yeah.
Now are kind of that proverbial straw
Yeah, that
is
breaks the
breaking
camel's back. That's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh my gosh, it's the
Exactly.
straw that breaks the camel's back.
Totally is. And
Yeah.
the other, but the good news is now is the time to do something about it. And I'll tell you why. Women in their 40s are most pleased and successful clients because it's also not too late to do something about it holistically, functionally,
Right.
conservatively, which I know all of you want. That's what we wanted for ourselves. What I don't want for you is to be the woman under our YouTube teaching who says, oh my God, why didn't I know about this option 2 decades ago before I had the surgery and then needed a reconstruction because it failed? Or the woman in our inbox, yes, last week, who's 60 years old and said, okay, 60 is not too late. Don't hear that. The story that she tells us is, it started with a little leak and then it got to start being a little bit of an urgency thing. And now the urgency is so bad, I can't sleep. I can't feel scared to leave my house. Don't let it get to that point. You know how
Yeah.
easy it is to stop this stuff in its tracks and to reverse the dysfunction and all the loss? It is so much easier to address it a little bit earlier. Again,
Mm.
only you know when it's gone far enough that you're
Yeah.
ready to take action. But what I don't want for you, there's a point past which we can no longer help, and you are a surgical candidate. Or there's a point at which if you would have come to me 6 months, 2 years earlier, this
Mm.
could have been remedied in 30 days. And now it's going to take 6 months of consistent work.
What is the point, Christina? Where is it definable, or can you give some ideas for people who are listening? Because I want everyone who has issues to go and make sure they follow you and get into your world and check out your programs because they work. I've had clients go through them, but for anyone listening who's like, is it too late for me? Can you define that at all, or can you give some boundaries there?
Okay, this is why we're so glad we did take the painstaking 3 years to do the research.
Yeah.
Because while it's hard to define in a subjective standpoint, like it feels like this, or you'll know when
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
What we did is we took the research data from our published peer-reviewed medical research and turned it into a quiz online. Okay, take I know you took the quiz.
I
Take
took the
the
quiz.
5 minute quiz. Ladies, if you're like, well, what's the next step for me? Or I don't know if it's really that bad, or maybe I'm too far gone, or I don't know if it's really, where am I on the spectrum of how bad is
Hmm.
this? Take the quiz. You get put into a scoring zone, and we have specific recommended next steps for each of those zones. And it takes into account the whole picture of your core and pelvic floor health in this quick 5 minute quiz. So not only are you're going to be taking it going like light bulb moment, light bulb moment. Wait, this is connected to this. Oh, wait, I had
Yes, that's
previously
what I
put that
found.
in a
Yeah.
separate bucket. I didn't know this was all a part of the same problem. The good news there that we don't want you stuck in. So take the quiz. It will not only provide the light bulb moments, connect the dots, but it gives you that research backed score where we can look you in the eyes with confidence and with all of our ethics and say, you are or are not a good fit for this type of care based on the data. Now that we've taken into account all these issues that you may or may not have going on, how severe they are, even if your symptoms have progressed to a point where you're scoring in that zone where we're like, we can't help you anymore. We have a whole page of resources that we direct you to get the care you need to actually get some real help.
I love this, Christina. Okay, sisters listening, I don't normally do this, but I want you to pause right now, go down into the show notes, take the 5 minute quiz, then come back because we're about to talk about what the whole point of this episode is about, our weighted vests and other health trends that like can cause danger, so you know. But I am willing to bet if you were still listening to this episode that there is something that is making you wonder, maybe it's my pelvic floor, and maybe I don't have to live like this. So pause it. We don't mind. We will wait. Come right back. Take the 5 minute quiz, come back. It's in the show notes. That was a great way of answering that, Christina. I was like, what are these things? Then I'm like, of course, I know these things. And I did take the quiz and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was part of this. And oh my gosh, maybe that's part of this. So yes, take the quiz. It's fun. And who doesn't love a good quiz?
I know. And you get your answer right away, right in your
Yes.
inbox. Like, this is where you fall. And it's not because I think so. It's because we did the research and
Yeah.
it was painstaking and it was crazy in hindsight to take on that project. Jen and I are always like, I don't think we would do that again. But like, we're
We
so
knew
glad
then
we
what
did.
we know now. We might not have done that, but you did it, which
We
is
are
amazing.
so grateful because it allows
Yeah.
us to look women in the eyes virtually, of course, and say, this will work, this will not work. Here's what you can expect.
Yeah, I love this. Okay, so Christina, that was awesome. I want to talk about weighted vests because I see them everywhere on social media. I mean, I have one, but I had one from years ago from working out as like part of a workout program.
Yeah, like
So I
weight
have,
gainer. Yeah,
yes, I can't
yeah.
remember what it was. Maybe it was, I don't know. It was something. Anyway, it was a fun workout program, but I was also in my 20s when I wore it a lot. So I have one. I see people wearing them all the time. I have my clients tell me that they're wearing them sometimes when they're just sitting around, sometimes when they're talking to me on the phone. They are huge. And can you break down in simple terms why they actually can be risky for women with felt pelvic floor concerns? And actually, wait, before you answer that, what percentage of women have pelvic floor issues? Do you have that stat?
The data is all over the place
Okay.
depending on where you look. But the most recent data that we've gathered is 1 in 3 women will develop clinically significant, even prolapse, which is pelvic floor dysfunction gotten worse, where the
Like you,
organs start to fall
oh
out
yeah.
of place, down
One
and
in
out of the,
three will get that
well,
bad.
and 1 in 2 over a life who, if we count just women who've had children. Yes,
Just women who have children.
right.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a huge number. Will
Yeah,
develop
huge.
clinically significant prolapse in the lifespan. So again, the numbers all over the place. That's the most recent data that we've gathered. But so this is a massive part of the population. And the reason the weighted vest is not necessarily your friend if you are actively dealing with some of these issues that we've already talked about is that it increases pressure. If we think about, I love to do, Jen came up with this visual of a toothpaste tube. So like your core, pelvic floor, your midsection
Yeah.
is a toothpaste tube. You've turned it upside down and the cap is facing down. And we've loosened the cap. It's about to fall off. And we squeeze that toothpaste tube. Where does the pressure go?
Oh, down. Yeah.
It goes down.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's our pelvic floor is the down part. It's underneath and it's holding all that stuff up and in when it's functioning optimally. And when it's well, it's not having any trouble with that at all.
Yeah.
Strap on your weighted vest, girl, go for it.
Yeah.
But if you are already having some signs of dysfunction down there, which we already talked about what they are,
Yeah.
then you are adding insult to injury. You're trying to build a house on a foundation of sand, and it's not going to be pretty because you're increasing that pressure and it's going to go where it's already weak. and it's going to make
Ah,
things worse.
for
So
sure.
that's why. And there's data even that specifically validates that the vaginal walls are particularly susceptible to pressure related strain.
Oh, yeah. And, that makes, when you think about it, it makes so much sense. I mean, I come from a fitness background and like as a trainer, if you are not engaging a muscle appropriately, or if you have an imbalance, you have to correct that imbalance before you can do that exercise properly.
Yes, exactly.
Same,
It's
same.
it's a matter of resetting the foundational strength before you add load, right?
Yeah.
And yes, it makes
Before you add
sense.
load. That's a good way of putting it.
Yes. Well, and I don't know if that's too technical, but it makes sense to me,
Yeah.
right? It's the same analogy of you want to build your house on a solid foundation and that strength. And also, because I'm such a nerd for this, y'all, this is our center of gravity from a biomechanical
Yeah.
standpoint, like physics. The center of gravity is between your pubic joint, which is that hard spot where your pelvis comes together in the front,
Yeah.
and your second segment of your tailbone, S2. And so,
Oh,
from a physics standpoint, that is our
I'm
center
feeling
of
it.
gravity, right? I know I've got my hands there, right, too.
That's
And
so.
the handy pelvis model right here behind us.
Did you say your
Yes.
second tailbone? What did you? What did you?
Yes, the second segment of your
The
sacrum,
second,
which
the
is your
tailbone.
tailbone.
Got it.
So it's our center of gravity, far
Interesting.
beyond that, right? Our energetic center of women. And I
Yeah.
know from living this, and I know because I know what it feels like when you feel broken at your center. It
Mm,
is like carrying around, speaking of weight, it is like carrying around a weight that impacts your sense of self. I always cry when I talk about this because I know what it feels like.
yeah.
It impacts how you show up energetically in the roles that you care about the most as a mother, as a
Yeah.
spouse. And you don't often even realize how heavy that has felt until you
Yeah.
start to remove it. And then you're like, you
Yeah.
feel like it's going to be okay again. And just the slightest movement of that needle in the right direction
Hmm.
restores your sense of hope that it can get even mo better, as they say down here in New Orleans.
Mo better.
Mo better.
Get mo better. Okay. I don't think I've heard that. I haven't spent enough time in New Orleans, but I like it. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, I
So
love that. That's a really good explanation. So, for the women who are listening who already own their weighted vest and maybe who are walking around, I mean, I guess take the quiz. That's going to tell you if you have issues and maybe shouldn't wear that. But are there any other kind of red flag list of symptoms or sensations that maybe when we are wearing the weighted vest that should give us a clue like maybe too early for the load?
absolutely, yes. You just asked the smartest questions. And that's exactly what I would want to know too. Like, how do I know? If you sense pressure or heaviness or that sensation of a bulge down there, stop.
Yeah,
That is your body waving the white flag.
for sure.
Absolutely, unequivocally stop. You are not doing yourself any favors. You're actually causing harm if that's what you're feeling. Or if you have actively noticed increased sense of urgency or actively noticed leakage, either
Mm,
while you're doing it or shortly thereafter, that's again your body saying, hey, girl, like, please not right now. I'm not ready for this. It's not saying you can never add load again. It's not
yeah.
saying that. It's saying, I'm not ready for this right now. Please put this away, put this to the side. Give me some compassionate, strengthening care at my core, and then we can move on from there in
Ah.
strength together.
And it really, I mean, I know I literally just said this, but I feel like I have to revisit it for my own memory and for the women listening. This is no different from, again, any other situation, any other muscular situation in your body. If you're having a little niggly tennis elbow, not a good time to be lifting weights with that arm. We need to sort out the pain and inflammation and the damage before we start adding more weight to that problem. We don't push through in those. That is a no push through situation.
Yeah, and that is such a perfect analogy. Jen and I finally realized that that's a smart way to explain this, which you came to much faster than we did. We just get like so focused in on like pelvis, pelvis, pelvis.
Yeah.
But some women hear the word pelvis and they start hearing elevator music, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
ah!
Or like, what is your pelvis? There's so many words. There's like the hip complex, and then there's your uterus down there. Like, there's a lot going on in that one little area. So,
It's
like,
very
what is the
busy.
pelvis? Does it encompass the entire area? It's
I
very
mean,
busy.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
it's very busy. I mean, we have lymphatic return that needs to
Mm,
pass through there. We have circulation. We have obviously the reproductive organs, the bladder, the rectum, and all the hip bone structure that
yeah.
surrounds it, including the tailbone. It's tasked with an immense amount of important functions,
Yeah.
right? Peeing, pooping, and penetration are all the purview of the pelvic floor. Why do we not deserve to feel well in those core functions,
Yeah.
ladies?
Yeah. And those things are done pretty regularly,
Yeah, pretty
or we want them
regularly.
to be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And along those lines, there are so many simple things you can do to be kinder to that part of your body every day, like
mm,
using a toileting stool to put yourself in an ergonomic emptying position. And this is for
ooh,
both
it's like the
bladder.
squatty potties, things like
Yes,
that. Okay.
squatty potty,
Yeah.
absolutely. Get thyself a squatty potty, and they make them cuter now. It's not just the white plastic thing. We got used to get a lot of
Okay.
objection to this recommendation. I'm not putting that medical device in my guest bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
They make them in like a teak wood and a bamboo. So
Oh,
they're
they're
cute.
pretty.
And you'll find that your spouse starts to use the bathroom where the squatty potty is all the time because it doesn't take much trial and error to learn that it feels better. And you're going
Ah.
to be more completely emptying bowel and bladder, which means less strain on your pelvic floor every time you go, less frequent visits to the bathroom, and also relax to let your pee out. Like pushing it out, ladies, it's not only not it's not saving you the 2 seconds you think it is, but it's also causing urine to stay retained in there, which makes you have to go again shortly thereafter. It's not a good cycle. So relax to let your pee out. Use the squatty potty. Do your breath work every day. We have a really nice freebie of an at-home decompression position you can get in. It
Oh,
takes
and
no special
decompression
equipment.
position.
Oh my God, it's such a gift to your body in 10 minutes. It's like
Okay.
rest multitasking. If you're like, I can't lie still, put on the
Mm.
Period Whisperer podcast while you lay there and catch up on the episodes
Oh,
you
bless your heart. That was a good one. Thank you. So, but I have to bring that's brilliant. And now I'm going to put Squatty Potty on my like house needs list, and I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to explain it to my wife. But we talked briefly
she'll love
before
it too.
I think she will. She doesn't
Yeah.
know it yet, but she's always my
Yeah.
guinea pig. We were talking about how we have to try everything on ourselves, and I make her try everything. And she's like, "What am I doing right now?" I'm like, "Shh, just do it.
It
It'll be fine."
feels better. It feels better.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we were talking about something, I told you I often, as I'm working with women, they want to be in constant movement. We have this need to be productive to feel, I think, worthy as some of it. And you said how important stillness is. Can you say that again for everyone listening? Because it really just moved me.
It's essential even for pelvic floor healing. It's essential for all healing. Our healing happens in a state of rest. And
Yes.
this is something I'm speaking from experience on. I've been a chronic doer. I'm a recovering people pleaser. I know I've
Mm.
heard you talk about that
Yeah.
as well. So we have all those things in common. And this sounds crazy, or maybe it won't sound crazy to you if you're like that too. But learning to be at peace in stillness, even if you know I should be doing this or I know I need this, is harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
There's always something else to be done. We can reason ourselves out of why I couldn't possibly stop for 10 minutes a day, but you can, and I would wager that you must
You
actually.
must. Well, I think what we're saying is that rest is highly productive. And I think that's
Indeed.
what we need to understand. That is, as you say, that
Yeah.
is when healing happens in all aspects of our body. And it's a requirement. So maybe next time you lay down and try to do some breath work or listen to a podcast or listen to the Tighten Your Tinkler YouTube channel,
There.
you need to say, oh, I'm being productive right now. I'm allowing my body to rest. I love
Yes.
that. That was amazing. Okay, so now I feel like we have some good understandings about the weighted vest and when to use it and when not to use it. Are there other health trends you like know off the top of your mind or you guys talk about frequently that we should be wary of to protect our pelvic floor that maybe we should avoid?
That's a great question. And I think at this point, it means more for each woman to give yourself permission to listen to what your body's trying to tell you, no matter what it is that you're undertaking, especially if it's something new or different that you're trying that's out of your routine. For instance, we've all heard at this point, and it's correct, that progressive weight training
Mhm.
is a great gift to our bodies, especially at this stage of life. Like 70 to 80% of max is great. And the data shows that that actually helps build bone density much better than weighted vests also. And it's less risky for our pelvic floors. That being said, if you're like, great, I'm going to go do that. Don't just jump into the gym and think you can hop right in without working your way up to it. And as you slowly build a new habit and work your way into a new fitness routine, whatever that is, first of all, don't go hard right away, no matter
Mm,
what it is. Wade in slowly and pay attention as you go. Your
yeah.
body, girl, is smart, is going to give you signals if things are amiss. And
Yeah.
you're going to notice the back or hips starts to get a little funkier or tighter. The leaks start to get a little more frequent. Maybe your urgency is getting a little bit worse. Maybe you're waking up one additional time at night to pee, or you're just feeling that pressure or heaviness get worse, or maybe even some abdominal swelling. This is another one. If you're wearing really tight compressive pants, that can actually cause even that downward pressure to increase because again, toothpaste tube, whoosh, we're
Oh,
cinching that middle.
I hadn't
All
even
then
thought
if
about
you're
that. Do
right,
not size down your Lululemons,
no,
ladies.
or your
Get an
jeans, like
appropriate
yeah,
size. Or
yeah.
your jeans. Yes. Or your
Yeah.
jeans.
Yes, none of them. And especially if you're sitting a lot,
Yeah.
right? Like Jen and I always teach our members and we teach once a month live in our private community of members. And this is something we do deep dives on all this stuff with them too, because little choices matter here. If you're going to be traveling all day, like for the holidays, and you choose some pants that are really tight, you're going to feel it in an unwelcome way. Later
Interesting.
that day, you're going to have to invest more time on the back end in that decompression position, in a rest position. You're going to have to pay the piper later because you kind of went over the line for your body. And so if you've noticed any of these things, like, wait, it's valid. It's not all in your head. Just because we've all been gaslit by the medical community for the rest of our lives, don't do it to yourself now. It's not in your head. If
Oh,
the
yeah.
whatever you're wearing, if that thing that you did felt off or exacerbated or increased any of these issues, it's not in your head. And that is your body trying to communicate with you. It's a gift of that's the way that your body's going to tell you, I'm not ready.
Oh, yeah. This is another reason why I think we click so well, you and I and Jen, because, the whole premise here is listen to the messages of your body. But do you know what you need to do in order to listen and therefore hear the messages of your body? You have to slow down and be still. So there's another productive, unproductive, quote unquote, thing you can do during your rest period. You can think and have a conversation with your body about how are things going down there? How are things going up here? How am I feeling?
Yes.
Because all of it is constant feedback about what's going on. And you are the best case study for you,
Mhm.
which
And
is
so much
important.
clarity happens in the
Yeah,
stillness. We
it
open the door
does.
to receive the light bulb moment that couldn't have happened when the thoughts are swirling.
Yeah, I love that. And I think I often think of the head, like our brain as our CEO, and then our body as the COO. And a CEO's job is to forecast, is to be strategic, is to look and listen to the entire team and then connect and communicate with the COO for operations to go out. And so that's a part of it. Like that's part of your CEO strategy for your body is being still and thinking and reviewing the day or reviewing, what's possible, what's going on, what your pelvic floor is telling you. So I love that. I know you and Jen are famous for saying no Kegels. Jen and I talked about this, but I just think this is so important because honestly, even to this day, if you ask me, what can I do to support my pelvic floor? That is the first response that I hear in my brain, even though I know it's not true. Can you explain why Kegels can make symptoms worse, especially in perimenopause?
Yes. And first, I must say right away, I think that that's been recommended for so long because it's the best thing anybody knew. While Jen and I have a lot of issues with the way, the medical system does or does not take care of people, I do believe that people get into these professions for the right reasons, right? They're trying to help. And these things are recommended because it's all they know, right?
Yeah.
These providers are human too, but Kegels don't make any sense. And like I said, Jen and I had the great gift of our professional backgrounds as our own ally as we tried to sort these things out for ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, she's a personal trainer. I'm a physical therapist. Never once has she told a client, a patient who comes in with a musculoskeletal issue of any kind, your solution will be found in sitting in a complete still position and squeezing and relaxing the muscle you need to rebuild. That's insane.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah.
that's all anybody had figured out for the pelvic floor. But what ends up happening is, like I said, many of us have lived a high stress lifestyle. We're high achievers, we're go-getters, which is great.
Yeah.
But, all that stress and constant movement leads to a lot of clenching. And guess what? The nervous system and the bladder and the pelvic floor are all
Connected.
connected, right? And then if we that's another add insult to injury. So then if we're adding more clenching,
Yeah.
voluntary clenching to that area. For some women, it helps. That is awesome. Like you do you, boo. Like
Yeah.
that's great. But I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to the woman who's either tried that and it
Yeah.
helped for a little while, but then it got worse.
Yeah.
or the minute you started trying it, you realized it made things worse. And that
Huh.
is the more typical story that we hear. And so it's not only, it just doesn't make sense from a muscular reconditioning standpoint,
Yeah.
and it causes more problems because it causes an over tight muscle. If it wasn't
Yeah.
tight to begin with, you're going to make it over tight if you do enough Kegels, and then an over tight muscle is functionally a weak muscle. So
Yeah.
you're back to square one, but
Yeah.
now first you've got to undo the over tightness. But how can you do that? You can relax to let your pee out. You can use a squatty potty. You can do your breath work. You can practice active rest and relaxation in our at-home decompression position to incorporate very productive stillness into your day.
Yes. Very
You can
productive stillness. Hashtag productive stillness. Please tag us.
Yeah, all those things. So start there. Start by focusing on your fiber and your hydration. If
Yeah.
you have optimal poop consistency, that's a gift to your pelvic floor every time you go.
Oh, I love
If
that.
if you have well hydrated tissue, that's a gift to your pelvic floor.
Mm,
All these things matter. And the good news is a lot of that you're probably already working on anyway.
yeah.
So give yourself another pat on the back, like, oh, that's another thing I'm doing to take care of my pelvic floor. Good job. You're
Oh,
off to a great start.
yeah. I love that. And you're right. We should recognize our wins and what we're already
Yeah.
accomplishing for ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love that you're talking about, like, we talked about urine a lot, but like I love that you talked about the bowels as well. And you've talked about the central nervous system, but let's go there a little bit longer. Like, how, if a woman has adrenal fatigue symptoms, so obviously we've been in this, chronic stress situation for a long time. If they've had chronic constipation or gut issues, how do these impact that pelvic floor?
They fall into a feedback loop of
Mm,
making everything worse. And
yeah.
this is not dismal distress and despair messaging here, ladies. This is
Yeah.
think about all the small tweaks you can make to start pulling yourself out of this downward spiral. And I have, much like you, Bria, my story also involves, and I love the way you frame this language that you used in a recent episode of health debt, like
Oh,
really connected with me because I've been there too. And it was like a 10-year, period of lots
yeah.
of stress that couldn't be avoided. I
Yeah.
lost my mother. My first child was sick. We bought a house that was falling apart. It was what it was, right?
Yeah.
But I, at some point, had to look myself in the face and go, I can't keep going like this. If I don't
Yeah.
stop and make some major changes, like you said, your body starts to scream. And so adrenal fatigue, all those things, you have to find a way to make it an achievable goal. Make it 5 minutes a day of stillness. Put it on your calendar and honor it like the most important business meeting you have ever had, because it is. If you
Yeah.
don't invest now in changing those patterns, guess what? They're not getting better on their own, not
Yeah.
once they've become your normal. But that doesn't mean you can't change them. You can change them. Bria and I are here to tell you the tale of what it's like on the other side. My partner Jen is here to tell you that we want to be a light to guide you to the other side and remind you that there's hope and it's
Yeah.
possible for you too.
Yeah, I love that. And I think in this concept of health debt, like pelvic floor issues are, again, they're sucking energy. It's a stress on your body. I mean, even if not only is it sucking energy from your life, if you're waking up, if you're having to excuse yourself, if you're having to be stressed about the underwear in the drawer,
Mhm.
but if that center of your body is not strong, that is stressful because it is body's compensating around it. So even just to get us to neutral, to
Yeah.
in the black again, when I think that health debt example, this is really important work that we don't want to ignore.
Yes. And it's amazing what some of the messages I love the most are the ones early on when we start to work with women because they know why they signed up to get help. They know why they're there. But it's the other little nuanced
Mm,
positive changes that really shock them. We had an email in
yeah.
our inbox a couple weeks ago from a girl who said she joined because of various bladder issues and suspected prolapse. And she said, okay, I know I just started this a week or two ago, but like, is it normal that I literally feel like something is waking up down there that hasn't been awake in years? That's exactly normal. That's exactly what you're
Oh,
supposed to feel. And it keeps you coming back for more. When
yeah.
you have a functional approach to re-strengthening, the wins stack up quickly. And that keeps you feeling that hope and that sense of like,
Yeah.
it's not a chore to do it again the next day when you're like,
Yeah.
it's alive again. I'm going to
It's
be okay.
Okay, maybe she didn't mean orgasms, but I have to ask, like,
Oh,
does
yeah.
having a strong pelvic floor impact the strength and ability of our orgasms?
Very positively.
Yeah.
This is another one that women, I don't know anyone who's ever joined for this because probably because of all the ways we're raised as women.
Yeah. Because we're like, oh, it's normal not to orgasm as a woman. Not
Right.
normal.
Well,
Okay.
a lot of us will notice that it's gotten like just kind of wham wham. It did all that amazing stretching to
Yeah.
carry and birth children. And the older we have kids, the less bounce back ability our tissue has. So we kind of need
Yeah.
to give it a little, you
Yeah.
got this, girl. But when we add muscle tone to those vaginal walls, yes, pleasure improves. The strength of the orgasm improves. That's just the icing on the cake, right? If you're having pain with all this, then you absolutely want to get that addressed. Do not settle for that.
Right.
And then pain with sex can be very nuanced. It can be, you might need a topical estrogen cream.
Yeah.
I'm not saying pelvic floor strength is the only answer when it comes to pain with sex, but it's most often at least part of the picture.
Yeah.
And if you're not having pain with sex and you come work with some pelvic floor strengthening and you then realize a really positive side effect of improved orgasms, then just win, win, win all around.
It is a win-win-win. And I'll just speak briefly to like the hormone creams because I do think those are amazing tools
Yep.
and they will work best when you are working on your pelvic floor. Like it will just again, icing on the cake. It'll, cherry on top. It's just going to these tools, most supplements, in fact, supplements, most bioidentical hormones, peptide therapy, all of that works best when we're working from a solid foundation first. So this is kind of the
Yes.
underlying work that you guys do to get us to the most benefits of those tools.
Yes, and my goodness, does it feel so good when you've got
Yeah.
it all working and rocking and rolling again, and then you start to look forward to that long trip with your family instead of going, how many pairs of underwear do I really need to pack,
Yeah.
and am
How
I
many
going
times are
to
we
be
gonna have
able
to
to
stop
get
to
to a
pee?
restroom?
Hmm.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. And while everyone complains, oh, not again. Here we go.
Yeah, and
Know?
you're letting the bathroom rule your life, and it probably
Yeah.
happens so slowly over time that you don't even realize
Yeah.
how it's. But draw the line before
Yeah.
you get to that point where I have to say, I can't
Yeah.
help you anymore.
Yeah. I
You are
love that.
worthy.
Christina, this has been so amazing. Let's one more question on this and then we're going to talk about how to get into your world again. But there's so much shame wrapped around pelvic floor symptoms. What do you wish every woman listening knew about her body, about her strength, about her ability to heal, especially in midlife?
She's in your corner, right?
I
She
love that.
she is always trying to do the right thing for you. I promise all the time. She's doing her best.
Yeah.
Sometimes she just needs a little gentle nudge
Yeah.
to keep rocking and rolling, and your body's your ride or die. If you're not gonna, you don't get another one,
Yeah.
right? If we don't pour back into her when she's been there for you in
Hmm.
so many ways over a lifespan. Yes, it's a lot of work to relearn how to take care of ourselves at this stage. I'm doing it too, just so
Yeah.
you know. I'm 43, so I get
Yeah.
it. I've had to pivot and change and do so many things differently and relearn what it takes to take care of myself now in any number of ways. So I'm right on the roller coaster with you. I'm telling you, it is worth it. Listen to these messages. She's trying to take care of you always. It might just be the very next little tweak that you make, the next provider you try, the next program you get into that really changes the momentum for the better.
Yeah.
Don't stop trying. Keep listening. She's in your corner.
I love that. That is amazing. Thank you. I refer my clients to you and Jen and your amazing programs all the time. Where can listeners go to learn more? We know we have the quiz. Go down, swipe the quiz, but where else can they go to take your programs, to get into your world, get the support that they deserve?
Totally. We're in all the places. It's Tighten Your Tinkler everywhere. So we have tons of YouTube teachings that go down all the rabbit holes. Take those rides with us. We talk about all the things you might be scared to Google in one teaching or another. And we have at tighten.your.tinkler on Instagram. We're tightenyourtinkler.com. Hello at tightenyourtinkler.com in the inbox. The quiz is in all the places. And I'm sure there'll be a direct link below. The quiz
Yeah.
is absolutely the best place to start. It's a great jumping off point. And then go down the rabbit holes with us. And when you decide you've had enough and you want to heal and get better at your center, choose someone to work with who you can trust. This stuff is intimate and it's emotional. If it's us or not, choose somebody you feel is going to hold your hand and take you to that place of healing and that you can put your faith in and jump in with 2 feet with. Because those are the women we work with who get the best results and who are the happiest with their journey because they've committed. And like the way you explained that, take that 3 to 4 month segment and just focus on that, make that your priority, and your results will speak
Yeah.
for themselves.
Yeah. If you're having pelvic floor floor issues, commit, move through this piece so it is now a solid foundation so that you can level up.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. You can get to that progressive resistance training for your bone density for the long
Yes.
term and all those other fun things.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I'm going off topic here, but I feel like it is much easier to release weight, which I know is what a lot is on a lot of women's mind when we have a strong pelvic floor, period.
Because
End of
like
discussion.
you said, then it's safe to progress your other exercises.
Yeah.
You know, and that's often the next step, along with obviously the dietary modifications and the complications of the hormones. That's your expertise. Trust Bria for all of those things. And we'll help you get that strong foundation.
Yes, I love it. Christina, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for what you and Jen do for women. I'm just so grateful to have you in my circle.
Thank you, Brie. We feel the same way about you. Thank you
Yay.
so much. And your listeners get $50 off if they feel called to work with us in our
Oh,
signature program. It's that code Bria. So don't
oh,
miss
that's
that
so great.
opportunity.
Thank you so much. That's amazing, you guys. So now you know you have another tool in your tool belt to go out and be more in your life and not just less on a scale. We will catch you all in the next episode.